नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रह्लाद लाद दायिने हिरण्यकशिपुर्वक्षः शीलटङ्कानखलये हितो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह बाहिर नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव कर कमलवरे नखा अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमल वरे नखा अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव कर कमल वरे नखा अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय नर हरे नर हरे नर हरि जय नर हरे जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज नीताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल सर्व भक्ति विघ्नविनाशक श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, भक्त श्रोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल।
हरे कृष्णा। अभी यहाँ पे भगवत गीता पे अंग्रेजी में प्रवचन होगा। जिनके ने को भी सुनना है कृपया अपने स्थान पे बैठे रखें 7:30 से 8:30 बजे तक। देयर विल क्लास ऑन भगवत गीता हियर फ्रॉम 7:30 to 8:30 PM. So those who want to listen it, please be kindly seated.
ट्रेबल अच्छा करना, बात कम करना, इसको पता है। थैंक यू।
हरे कृष्ण।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यमुना तीरावनचारी, यमुना तीरावनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ
गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नीताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So we'll continue our discussion. जरा इनको बच्चों को जरा संभाल लीजिए। We'll continue our discussion from the Bhagavad Gita. We are on chapter 4, text number 10. This is chapter 4 entitled Transcendental Knowledge. वीतराग भय क्रोधा मन्मया मामुपाश्रिताः बहवो ज्ञान तपसा पूता मद्भावमागताः। Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they have all attained transcendental love for me. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As described above, it is very difficult for a person who is too materially affected to understand the personal nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Generally, people who are attached to the bodily conception of life are so absorbed in materialism that it is almost impossible for them to understand how the Supreme can be a person. Such materialists cannot even imagine that there is a transcendental body which is imperishable, full of knowledge and eternally blissful. In the materialistic concept, the body is perishable, full of ignorance and completely miserable. Therefore, people in general keep this same bodily idea in mind when they are informed of the personal form of the Lord. For such materialistic men, the form of the gigantic material manifestation is supreme. Consequently, they consider the Supreme to be impersonal. And because they are too materially absorbed, the conception of retaining the personality after liberation from matter frightens them. One has to get rid of all three stages of attachment to the material world: negligence of spiritual life, fear of a spiritual personal identity, and the conception of void that arises from frustration in life. To get free from these three stages of the material concept of life, one has to take shelter of the Lord, guided by the bona fide spiritual master, and follow the disciplines and regulatory principles of devotional life. The last stage of devotional life is called bhava, or transcendental love of Godhead. So here we see Krishna talking about, after talking about why he comes into this world, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. After speaking all these verses, Krishna says how by knowing him, how by knowing, understanding Krishna, one can avoid the repetition of birth and death in this world. And then he gives these qualifications. The qualifications we need to develop to attain the spiritual world, the spiritual state of life. So here he says, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. Freed from attachment, fear and anger. Manmayam Mam Upashrita. Fixing their minds on me and taking shelter of me. Bahavo jnana tapasa puta. Many persons purified by the penance of knowledge, mad bhavamagataha. They have attained my transcendental abode. So raga, bhaya, krodha. Krishna is pointing to these three qualities which can become obstacles in one's spiritual life. Raga is attachment, material attachment. How material attachment can blind us from attaining a spiritual situation. And then bhaya. Bhaya is fear. And krodh is anger. Very common words. So these three are obstacles. Obstacles to our progressive spiritual development. So how exactly is these three going to obstruct? In earlier chapter also, in the second chapter, Krishna talks about Sthitadhir Muni, where he again refers to these three qualities. Vitaraga bhaya krodha Sthitadhir Muni ruchyate. One who is free from these three qualities, Krishna says, is a Sthitadhir Muni, whose dhi or intelligence is sthita, fixed. So, couple of times this phrase comes in the Gita and other places. So, what is rag? How can rag lead to spiritual derailment? So oftentimes people consider this world to be a place of enjoyment. We want to enjoy everything good food, good movies, good music. We want to enjoy the world, the facilities of the world, the resources of this world. And enjoying this world is considered the goal of life. We go to any extent to acquire the best facilities and resources and enjoyment. And that leads to attachment. When we get these things, we get attached. We get comfortable with those things and we think, this is how it should be, everything. But in the Gita, later in the Gita, Krishna says this world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This world is a place of misery and it is temporary. So, we are trying to make this a place of sukhalayam, but the nature of the world is designed as dukkhalayam. So how long are we going to be successful? To what extent can we be successful in making this world and my life in this world a happy life? To some degree we may be successful to making this life happy, making this world happy, our surroundings comfortable. But overall, Krishna says, the world is designed to be dukkhalaya. Just like if a machine is designed to behave in a certain way. For example, a car. If a car is designed to run at a maximum speed of, say, 150 kilometers. And if you are driving and you are trying to run it at 200, will it work? It won't work. No matter how hard you press the accelerator, kick the accelerator, do everything with the accelerator, it is not going to run beyond 150. Because it is not designed to run beyond 150. So similarly, if the manufacturer has designed a machine in a certain way, it has to work within their limits. Similarly, Krishna says this world is designed to give us pain. And any effort we put to make it the opposite, it is not going to work. So when we get used to certain facilities, certain resources and comforts, we get attached to the place, attached to the situation. And when those things are removed from us, we become miserable. Because we are attached to the situation. Therefore, Krishna says one has to get rid of this attachment. Because the more we are attached to a certain situation in the material world, and when the situation is removed from us, then we get painful. The lesser the attachment, the lesser the pain when it is taken away from us. The greater the attachment, greater the pain when it is taken away from us. Therefore, if we want no pain, how much should be our attachment? 0. 0 may not be possible, but at least keep it to the minimum. That's the whole idea. Therefore, one has to work on this. Earlier in the Gita, Krishna says, Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya pahrita chetasam. People who are too attached to the luxuries and comforts of this world can never focus their intelligence upon higher principles of life, spiritual principles of life. So both, on one direction we have spiritual goals, and exactly in the opposite direction is the idea of pursuing material goals. Most of the times, one is contradicting the other. In rare cases, we may find pursuing material goals can also be helpful in attaining spiritual goals. That's a very delicate balance. Very few people are able to get that. But for most people, it is harmful. Material goals is usually against spiritual goals. So therefore, in many places, Krishna says, avoid the attachment. Reduce your attachments. You find several stories in the Bhagavatam and other Puranic literatures where kings, great kings, and powerful, influential people, they had all the facilities and luxuries and comforts, but they were not attached. They were great devotees also. They never lost focus on higher spiritual principles. If we can do, then that is good. But at least in the beginning stages, it is not possible. Therefore, scriptures recommend reduce. Keep it to the bare minimum. Don't accumulate your comforts and facilities, and then you get attached to it, and then you get painful when they are taken away from us. So it's a very important point. Vyavasayatmika buddhis samadhau na vidhiyate. Krishna says such people can never focus their intelligence on deeper spiritual principles. And one very nice example is the example of Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra, the father of Kauravas, Duryodhan. So Dhritarashtra, the name itself suggests that he is Dhrita towards Rashtra. Too attached to his kingdom, his throne, his position. Although he was blind by birth, physically he was blind even spiritually. Spiritually blind means he could understand he could not appreciate the instructions given by so many wise people. Bhishma counseled him, Vidura counseled him, so many sages like Vyasadeva, Maitreya. Krishna himself counseled him. But he was blind. He could understand what they are saying is right, but he couldn't apply them in his life. So he would say, what can I do? My sons, they don't listen to me. One time when Krishna counseled him, when he went as Shantidut to Hastinapur, to try his best to avoid the war, Mahabharat war. And after speaking to Dhritarashtra and everyone, Dhritarashtra said, "Oh Krishna, oh Yadava, what can I do? I am powerless, helpless." So Krishna was surprised by that statement. He looked at Bhishma and Drona and others, he said, "Look what he's saying. The king, the emperor of the planet is saying, I have no power. How can that be?" So what made him powerless? Person occupying the post of the emperor is saying, I have no power to prevent the war. So what was it that made him powerless to act? That was attachment. What Krishna is referring to here, raga. Raga is the Sanskrit word for attachment. Because he was too attached to his position, he wanted his sons to become the future kings. He wanted the entire kingdom to come to his sons and not give anything to the Pandavas. He was attached to this conception. Therefore, he could not implement the wise instructions given by so many others. So many people warned him that you are taking a very wrong step. Your entire dynasty will be destroyed, the kingdom will be destroyed, all your sons will be killed. So many people, in spite of hearing from them, Dhritarashtra hoped against hope that something will happen and all these bad things will not happen. Jai Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki. So he hoped that all these people who are advising me to not fight, somehow they may turn wrong. They may prove to be false. And my idea that my sons will become victorious and this war is good for me. Ultimately, the Pandavas will not get the kingdom and my sons will become the king. This idea, he was so attached to this idea and he couldn't believe that this understanding is false or wrong. That was the attachment. That was his mistake. Therefore, he couldn't appreciate the good instructions given by so many intelligent people. So we find several instances of such cases. People who are attached to either their wealth or their position, their name and fame and prestige, or their influential contacts, their knowledge. Some people are attached to their degrees and knowledge. And if that comes under threat, they become miserable. Some people are attached to their possessions, my house, my car, my gadgets. It could be insignificant. Even a beggar is attached to his possessions. Prabhupada used to say. Even a beggar is attached to his penny. How much does he collect every day? Few 10, 15, 100 rupees maybe, 500 rupees maximum. That also a person is attached. And he starts competing with the other peer beggars. इसको 250 मिला, मेरे को 300 मिला. So this kind of attachment. And he's attached to securing them, keeping them, enjoying them. And you may have a millionaire who is earning a few crores, but he is also attached. The disease is the same. What is the disease? Attachment, raga, which makes us blind to higher spiritual realities of life. Fundamental realities like I am a spirit soul, part and parcel of God. understanding the divinity of God, Krishna, understanding the divinity of spiritual instructions, the Gita, we just cannot understand. These are different category altogether. And we start categorizing everything as सब एक ही है, सब एक ही है. How they are special, how they are different. We become blind to these truths. So, and the other quality, one is rag, that is an impediment. And the Bhagavatam, you find several stories of Ravana, for example. He had a certain idea of enjoyment. He wanted to kidnap Sita and enjoy. And so many people advised. Dozens of people advised. His own brother Kumbhakarna advised, Vibhishan advised, Maricha advised. Right. So repeatedly advising, giving good advice is not having an impact. Because such people are convinced, my definition of enjoyment is the best definition. And if anyone is not agreeing to that definition, then that person is wrong, or that person should be eliminated. Finished. Hanishye chaparanapi ishvaroham aham bhogi siddhoham balavan sukhi. I want to finish them. So therefore all of us, everyone has material attachments. We may not have big possessions and wealth and bungalows, but we all have our own degree of attachment. We may be attached to our little comfort, my roti kapada makan, and some facilities that may have, some comforts that I may have at home, my TV, my enjoyment, my Netflix and my other subscriptions, my phone, my games, my sports, my movies. Certain enjoyment is kind of fixed in our life. We have certain recreation, certain enjoyments, which is going on uninterrupted. And we think as long as this is there, I'm happy. बस मुझे केवल इतना ही चाहिए. I don't want a big facility. A little bit all this, a little bit, little food, this and this movie, this games, this sports, this gadget. All I want is this much. And there appears to be nothing wrong in this. But if that is preventing us from understanding spiritual principles, then these are considered impediments, obstacles. So therefore, Krishna is warning us from getting into this. The next quality, Krishna says, Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. Bhaya. Bhaya is fear. Fear of what? So if someone is having some enjoyment, enjoying excessively, then there is the fear that this may be taken away. I may lose it. When I see someone else competing with me, then we feel, Arey, why is he in my area, my situation, my locality? Then I fear that I have to share the resources with that person. Therefore, fear arises in my heart. And we take all steps to remove that person, to put a barrier, so that my enjoyment is secure. My facilities are secure. Although there is unlimited facilities and resources, but still, I feel this person is going to intrude into my zone. So this fear, Krishna says, is an impediment. And someone who is going through this fear, and the fear, it reaches an extreme level. and he gets frustrated by material enjoyment. Such a person starts thinking that there is no enjoyment only in this world. Everything is frustrated. No one is happy. This world is a miserable place. Everything is bad. All people are bad. Everything is bad, including God. You go to that extreme, thinking that God is ultimately responsible for my misery and situation. Then they come up with a philosophy of their own. The philosophy that ultimately, ये भगवान भगवान सब ना, में कुछ है नहीं, or God is ultimately a formless, qualityless entity, ultimately impersonal. So there are several people, several theories floating around that says, you worship a form and a murti and this and that. Ultimately, God is formless. The Nirahakar, homogeneous entity. And this idea that you are doing, worshipping a form, is all preliminary, neophyte stage. So scriptures explain, these people come to this conclusion. Why? Because they have experienced frustration. Frustration with material enjoyment. Everything they tried led to frustration. Therefore, they came up with this idea, theory, that ultimately God is responsible and God is also formless. Because in formlessness, in the idea of formlessness, everything is same. There is no misery, there is no pain, there is no variety. So this sounds very good. The moment you bring in form and variety, then you start thinking this is better, this is inferior, this is superior. And then they have experienced frustration with that idea. So negate everything. That's how the idea of impersonalism comes up. Arising out of fear. Fear with material enjoyment. Frustration with material enjoyment. And we have the example of Kamsa. He got this prediction, he heard this Akashvani, that the 8th son of Devaki and Vasudeva is going to kill him. The Bhagavatam describes how he was so fearful. Initially he tried all his attempts to kill all children, but somehow the 8th child couldn't be killed. The 8th child escaped. And then he tried several attempts by sending so many demons to Vrindavan, trying to kill Krishna, but everything failed. And when Krishna came to Mathura, he only invited him. Came to Mathura, he had put several obstacles, several strategies to kill Krishna. There was a huge elephant, Kubalaya Pida, there were wrestlers, Chanur and Mushtik. None of them could kill Krishna. And finally, Krishna went up the throne and killed Kamsa. So that stage, leading to that stage of Kamsa's death, the Bhagavatam describes how Kamsa was always in a state of fear, constant fear. Everywhere he could see only Krishna, not out of love. Devotees are always in love with Krishna, they also see Krishna everywhere. But here is a person who is fearful of Krishna, therefore he is seeing everywhere only Krishna. So that is also an impediment to practicing spiritual life. So one has to develop a relationship that is favorable, not unfavorable. Anukulyasya Krishna Anushilanam Bhaktiruttama. We can have several emotions towards God, but some emotions are favorable, others are unfavorable. Favorable emotions are like overall the service attitude. Any emotion that leads to service, that's a favorable. But any emotion that takes us away from service to God, that is unfavorable. So fear can be, usually, is an unfavorable emotion. Fear of God. There could be healthy fear of God also, that we are not discussing here. The unhealthy fear. Healthy fear of God is, you see God as great and powerful. So kind of respectful fear we may have, which is healthy. But the unhealthy fear is God is dangerous and God is punishable as a bad, wretched person, wanting to punish me all the time. Some people have this mood. That's considered unfavorable. So, fear is impediment. And then Krishna says, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. Krodha is anger. Again, anger results in when our attempts to enjoy the material world fails all the time. Some people may develop the emotion of anger. God is responsible for my not able to enjoy, not being able to enjoy. So I blame God. So many attempts I made, everything is frustrated, and I have to blame someone. Blame God. So this is anger towards God. And to the extreme degree, this emotion can lead to the idea that God is ultimately the theory of God is ultimately a zero. There are philosophers who say that ultimately everything is zero, null and void. One theory is everything is formless, everything is impersonal, and this another theory is everything is zero. Life and the material world and all the varieties that we see here is ultimately nothing. Interesting theory, right? You do everything. Everything we do, and the conclusion is everything is zero. How people come up with various theories. It's technically called a voidism. Ism, theory, philosophy. So, life after death? Nothing, it's all zero. Life before birth, previous life? Nothing, such a thing that doesn't exist. God doesn't exist. Law of karma? Nothing. Reincarnation, life after death? Doesn't exist. Soul? Doesn't exist. Body? That's also a zero. The varieties of this world? Everything is zero. You take anything, it's all zero. Then why do you live? What about what you are speaking? That also has to be zero then. The theory, whatever you are speaking, why should I take it seriously? Even your words, that also has to be zero then, which is actually the truth. So this is also a philosophy that the whole thing is void. And it arises out of krodha, anger. Anger arising out of frustration of the attempts to enjoy. So every emotion can be an impediment if it is taken in the wrong direction. Therefore Krishna says here, Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha, once having given up these negative attitudes, these are all attitudes, anger, fear, attachment, it's a mindset. It's not just a quality, it's a mindset that leads to a certain ideology and action in life. So why people behave in a certain way? We see varieties of behaviors, some people behave in a certain way. It's all arising from a certain mindset. A certain mindset leads to a certain belief system, which leads to a certain action. So Krishna says, once someone is freed from raga, bhaya, krodha, then manmaya mam upashritaha. Such a person is eligible to take mam upashritaha, take shelter of me. So ultimately the purpose of getting rid of these qualities is to take shelter of Krishna. Mam upashritaha. Bahavo jnana tapasa. Krishna says many people in the past, bahavo, in the past have become purified. Puta. Puta means got purified by jnana tapasa. By this cultivation of austerity of knowledge. Austerity of knowledge. Jnana tapasa. It's an interesting phrase. Tapasa of jnana. So it's not easy to cultivate spiritual knowledge. Just like if I want to become a great person in this world, if I want a big degree, big education, big position, then I have to go through the rigorous study of that particular subject. 10 years in school, then graduation 5 years, and then post-graduation, so many years. Finally, after going through this jnana tapasa, then you are awarded a degree which can give you a job and good pay package. Similarly, to attain spiritual perfection, Krishna says one has to go through jnana tapasa, cultivation of spiritual knowledge. And then once one has cultivated that knowledge, then we can take shelter of Krishna. We get the intelligence and the mood and the mindset to take shelter of Krishna. If I have to take shelter of anyone, I need to develop confidence in that person. Right? If I am told when you are in difficulty, call the police. Take shelter of the police. But if I don't have confidence in the police, then I won't feel like calling the police. Right? So I need to have confidence that this police force has the ability to protect me when I am in danger. If I don't have that confidence, I may look for some protection somewhere elsewhere. So Krishna says, by jnana tapasa, by cultivating this knowledge, many people in the past have taken shelter of me. So we all are looking for shelter. Shelter. If you don't experience safety and security enough, we'll always be in anxiety. Imagine if someone says, there is a bomb hidden somewhere. We won't be able to sit peacefully here. The bomb can explode anytime. Someone is sitting here with a gun. We can't sit peacefully. So we need to live happily. The first essential thing is security and safety. But Krishna says the best security and safe position is in me. One who takes shelter of me gets the best possible safety and security. And this confidence to take shelter of Krishna happens by jnana tapasa. Only when we have understanding of Krishna's supreme position, powerful position, divine position, when we hear about Krishna regularly and develop that confidence, okay, this person has the capability to award me security and safety and protection, then we will get the mood to surrender to Krishna, to take shelter of Krishna. And we need examples of the past. Oh, this person has done it, that person has done it, that person has done it. That hundreds of thousands of people have done in the past. Bahavo puta madbhava magata. Many people in the past have practiced this principle, cultivated jnana tapasa, after having freed from raga, bhaya, krodha, and then taken shelter of me, then having taken shelter of me, mad bhavamagataha, they have attained my nature. They have come back to me. So this is what Krishna is saying here. How gradually getting rid of the negative qualities, taking shelter of me, by cultivating knowledge, one can attain to my destination. They can attain my nature. And my nature means spiritual nature. Earlier also Krishna says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanmaneti mameti. Several places is mad bhavam, mad ashraya, mad upashritaha. So originally we all are spiritual in nature. And Krishna is supremely spiritual. As part and parcel of Krishna, part and parcel of God, we share the same spiritual nature. But in this material world, we are conditioned by raga, bhaya, krodha, and the three modes of nature, sattva, rajas, tamas, and so many other negative qualities, which suppress our original spiritual divine nature. And the whole process of spiritual life is to uncover this nature and revive our original spiritual nature. So therefore Krishna gives so many examples. Bahavo jnana tapasa. Many people have tried, many people have failed also. You find the stories like Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Duryodhan. They could directly see Krishna. Duryodhana is a good example of anger. How anger can be an impediment. He was always angry, always in an angry, irritated mood. Although he could physically see Krishna, talk to Krishna. And so many people advised him also. When Krishna showed the universal form, Virat Rupa, to Duryodhana in Hastinapur, he couldn't appreciate. He thought this is some magical show. Some kind of jadoo dikha raha hai, jadugar kar raha hai wo. He couldn't understand that Krishna is God himself showing the form. So he rejected the whole thing. And always in a state of anger, always in a mood of envy, competition, always considering Pandavas to be a threat to his enjoyment. So in this way, although he was physically present in the battlefield, in the presence of Krishna, he couldn't appreciate Krishna's divinity. Dhritarashtra could not appreciate Krishna's divinity. So many other Ravan, Hiranyakashipu couldn't appreciate. So we have examples of people of the past who failed to recognize Krishna. But then Krishna is saying, but there are many others who have taken the process nicely and understood my nature and got purified and attained my nature. So therefore, we should follow those examples, get inspired and follow in their footsteps and perfect our life. So in this way, Krishna talks about this. In the next verse, he says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajamyaham. How the way you approach me, how you come to me, that's how I am going to reciprocate with you. That's natural emotion. If someone treats me well, I am inspired to treat that person well. If someone ignores me, I also end up ignoring him. Someone abuses me, I want to abuse. At least I want to avoid. So Krishna says, with what emotion you come to me, that's how I am going to treat you. If you want to harm me, I won't be accessible to you. If you are indifferent to me, I will allow you to remain indifferent to me. And if you want to love me, I will give you all facilities to love me. So ye yatha mam prabhadyante tam sathaiva bhajamyaham. Mama vartmanu vartante manushya pata sarva. That's how Krishna discusses the next verse. So we will see that next session. So I'll stop here. Anyone has any comments, questions? We can take. We have a few minutes left. Srila Prabhupada ki, Mantra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki.